TV family.
15 minutes is all your child needs to master maths and improve his or her mental agility, concentration, study habits, and reading comprehension. Smartic is an online method designed to help children between the ages of 4 and 14 to learn mathematics. It is personalized and adapts completely to the level and pace of each child. After a simple registration process, children can access their daily session from a computer or tablet, working independently for the 15 minutes necessary to maintain maximum concentration level and receiving immediate feedback after each exercise. Smartic is much more than mental calculation. It also focuses on geometry, logic, and word problems. There are video tutorials along the way that help address doubts and interactively explain key concepts. During their sessions, children receive rewards for their effort and achievement. These allow them to access a virtual world filled with scientifically designed educational games. As soon as the session is finished, Smartick sends you an email with that day's results. You can review the entire session and see which exercises your child answered incorrectly. Parents have private access to their child's history, supplemented with detailed graphs showing their learning progress and general performance. And if you have any questions, you can contact our educational and parent outreach teams. 94% of children improve their mental calculation, logic, and problem-solving skills. Go to smartickmethod.com and try it for free.
Welcome back from the break, beautiful people of Mzansi. You are still watching Ekse live here on your favorite channel, channel 263. Igama lami ndinguMonelisa Msime, and today we are at the offices of Smartic in Cape Town. Now, before the COVID-19 regulations, a vast number of people were quite hesitant to try the unconventional way of learning. But today we're going to be talking to the guys who jumped ship before most of us did. I'm talking about Smartic. Smartic is an intelligent advanced online program which teaches children maths and coding for just 15 minutes in the comfort of their own homes or space. Now, they use rewards and gamification to track progress of the learners. And we're going to be talking to Phil, who is the head of English markets in Smartic, who also ran his own business, real estate business rather, for 3 years before joining Smartic. He is driven by his passion for education and technology. But without wasting time, welcome to the show, Phil, and thank you so much for having us.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So we're going to start with the first question that you probably get all the time, but we have to get it out of the way for the clarification that everyone that's watching, the parents and students. What is Smartic and how does it work?
So Smartic is an online maths and coding program for kids. We use artificial intelligence to basically adapt to the students' learning style and learning ability. And it's accessible through a tablet or an iPad or perfectly accessible through any desktop browser. So it's basically been designed as this intelligent online tutor that teaches kids maths and coding in as little as 15 minutes a day. We use gamification to incentivize kids to do their session every day. And in doing so, we've got this beautiful virtual world where when kids start their session, they select an avatar. That avatar becomes their digital personality. And by doing their math session every day or their coding session every day, they earn stars and gems, which is the digital currency of this little virtual world. And in this world, they can use those stars and gems to upgrade their home, purchase pets, purchase new clothing items, sort of like a Sims-like environment. And then outside of that, there's an interactive classroom where they can engage in interactive tutorials. There's a brain game section where they can actually go and play mentally stimulating and cognitive development focused games that focus specifically on focus, logic, reasoning, critical thinking, and memory skills. And that's basically what Smartic is, and it's been an incredibly successful year for us. But you know, as with all things, we look forward to 2021. It's probably going to be a bit of a challenge. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so when you say it uses gamification, which kind of is a virtual world, I think it's safe to say it's more like Minecraft, where you can build your own house and have a kitchen and I don't know really, because I'm not into that gaming world, but is it something like Minecraft for those who understand Minecraft?
Well, I wouldn't say it's like Minecraft, but it uses the same principles from game design to get kids excited about learning. So that's one of the big things is in the traditional classroom environment, it's quite difficult to get excited about learning. And when kids don't have the confidence to actually, like, let's just take, for example, in your traditional classroom environment, I would say 2 to 4 students in that classroom suffer from a condition called dyscalculia, which is can be thought of like a dyslexia for numbers, but it extends far beyond just mixing up numbers. It actually results in students having trouble with number sense. Now, dyscalculia is very often misdiagnosed and misunderstood, and these students simply have trouble learning maths and gripping certain concepts in maths. And when that happens, that traditional classroom environment doesn't cater for that individual student. That student ends up having significant maths anxiety. That affects their confidence across multiple subjects at school. And through this gamification, what we've done is to create a positive association with learning, a positive association with maths. So in this little virtual world, more similar to a Sims game where they've got a little virtual avatar that can move from one building to the next within their little house. They can build up their little house the way that they want it. In the little shopping mall, they can purchase new pets and new items of clothing and new items for their little treasure chest that sits within their house. It becomes a fun and exciting adventure for children in that 4 to 14 age category. What we've also introduced in the virtual world is a tree house where they can actually hang out with their virtual friends. Now, these are other students that are also on the platform. They can't communicate with one another. It's sort of like a line in the sand that we've drawn, because kids of that age shouldn't be communicating necessarily on the social media app. That's not what we are. We're an education platform. And that said, they can challenge these friends to maths competitions. So, I can challenge you to a boxing contest, and then we enter the ring, and there's a whole bunch of math sums that get thrown around, and the one that answers the math sums the quickest throws the most punches, and the one that wins that round wins the little competition. And that way, we've actually created a nice little social environment for kids, and it's actually something they look forward to every day.
I mean, I can imagine, because even you explaining it right now, it's making me quite excited. I feel like I'm a little kid and I just want to join Smartic. And you've mentioned that students from 4 to 14 can join Smartic, right? So let's get to the question of how much can one prepare to pay for their child to join the Smartic organization, or rather world?
Sure. So, look, Smartic is more than just an app. There are a lot of education apps out there, and this is an important differentiation that we try to make right off the bat, and that is that Smartic is a methodology. We've designed this in collaboration with education experts and mathematicians from around the world, taking inspiration from Dutch abacus maths, Singapore bar maths, Japanese maths, looking at all of these different curriculums and saying, hey, how can we build a methodology that speaks to students from nations around the world independent of their curriculum? So that's essentially what we've done with the Smartic program. Now, for kids that, okay, I'm just going to reset that a little bit there. So yeah, essentially that's the new curriculum that we've introduced. It's a global curriculum that is agnostic of one sort of nation-specific curriculum, and for that reason, Smartic is priced in that sort of aspirational category. It is quite an expensive product compared to the rest of the educational apps out there, but because it's a methodology that adapts in real time to each student's needs, it's far more than just a mere online learning platform. A lot of the competitors in this space have preloaded content. So you go on, and for your session for the day, it's already decided which sets of questions you're going to be getting. When you start your Smartic session for the day, nothing is preloaded. So we've taken data points from your previous sessions as well as data points from that day's session. We start off by measuring your emotional state. That's one of the first indicators that a student fills in before they start their session. That also guides the algorithm so that in real time we can create an exercise set that caters for you as an individual student specifically. So it's very unique in that sense. So coming to pricing, in South Africa, it's anywhere between 200 Rand a month to 400 Rand a month, depending on the package that the parent chooses for the student. So we obviously offer discounts if they commit to a 3-month or an annual package. And then if you add more students on board, like for a family of 2 or 3, you get discounts on that as well. Now, although the pricing sits at that 200 to 400 Rand price range, we introduced an initiative last year which we have committed to upholding during this lockdown period, and that's called our one-to-one program. Now, at Smartic, we believe even though we've got a really good product that people should be paying for if they can, we never want money to be a barrier to education. So for that reason, the one-to-one program allows families from disadvantaged backgrounds that at the moment can't afford Smartic to apply to be part of the one-to-one program. Essentially, we'll give Smartic to them for free, and all they have to do is to commit to doing 20 sessions a month at least. And in doing these 20 sessions a month, we know that that student's going to be benefiting significantly from the maths program. We're giving it to them at no cost. And this is really coming as a result of other students who are paying the subscription. So what we've done is during this period, every subscription that is paid, we make a one-to-one free subscription available for a family that can't afford it. There's no means test, so we don't ask for bank statements, we don't ask for anything like that. It's simply done on trust. Family tells us they can't afford it. For the time being, they'd like to join the one-to-one program. We have a great customer care team that will look after them, put them on board, and we've had many students that have actually done this, and those students that have committed to their 20 sessions a month on the one-to-one program have seen great results because we stay in touch with them, figure out how they're doing at school, how their results have improved, and across the board, we see students jumping from a 55% maths average in the first term to a 65% to an 83% maths average by the third term. So these jumps are really, really great. And what that does to the students' confidence is incredible to see. And that confidence then sort of seeps through into other areas of their academics as well.
So I feel like it's quite unfair for my next question that I want to ask, seeing that you do cater for students who do not afford Smartic, who are really from disadvantaged backgrounds, or rather families. But does Smartic cater for students who are really interested in coding and mathematics, but really don't have any smartphone or PC accessible to them?
So that is a difficult question. We have made paper-based material available at request. We also have online free educators resources for teachers that may not have access to high-quality education resources. Now, look, for a student to do Smartic, they do need access to a laptop or a tablet, but they don't need access to a laptop or a tablet per student. So in a classroom environment, in an aftercare center environment, in a community or a household, if there's one laptop or one tablet, right, that has the ability to host multiple students. When a student logs into their profile, they obviously have their 15 minutes dedicated to themselves, but at that login point, there are slots for multiple students. And the beauty is that one tutor or one parent, an infinite number of students to their profile. So you may have sort of a community tutor or a parent that's looking after a couple of students' accounts. That parent or tutor can log into their account, upload multiple students, keep track of those students, see how they're performing, communicate with those students, leave them positive messages before their next session starts, incentivize them with rewards, and essentially, that way we are able to make one device available to multiple contracts and multiple users.
It's such a bummer that time is unfortunately catching with us, because there's so much that I actually wanted to talk about and dive deep into, covering the social aspect of Smartic, because obviously you won't be able to interact with people as you would have in a classroom base. But also I feel like with the times that we're living in, that's something that is a bigger conversation, not just for Smartic. But before we let you go, I feel like it is important to ask you this question, as you have your own podcast.
What is up, everybody? And hello from planet Earth. I'm your host, Philip. Most of you'll know me as Phil, and this is the Future Minds podcast. Simply the best podcast.
And I realized that there's this one question that caught me, and I really wanted to know the answer from you. To your 10 years older self, I'm not sure if I can really do this question properly, but you know this question. To your 10 years older self, what is too much that you would have done, or too little that you would have done? Quick, so that we can wrap up.
Yeah, I think 10 years from now, I would have spent too little time reading and too little time connecting with friends and family the way that I should have, and I would have spent too much time focusing on work, focusing on building a career, you know, that's the way that I see it right now. Hopefully, I can take this advice myself and slowly start changing those little habits. But I think most people can be, and probably traveling. You know, I think traveling and experiencing different cultures is something that I would have done too little of.
Thank you so much, Phil, for having us today. And you have it, folks. Do not spend too little time reading. Interact with people. Go out with friends. Sit with family. You are watching Ekse Live. Do interact with us also at all of our social media platforms at Ekse Live, Ekse Live _ on Facebook, and Ekse Live on Instagram and Twitter.
Oh, you're never too young to learn skills, mathematics as
Yeah.
well as the coding. So Smartic is there for you. Thank you so much, Mona Lisa, for compiling that interview for us. There's so much more to learn. Uphuma nje ungena ku YouTube, ungena ku Facebook. Something enticing because the academic year yakho izoba lula.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how is your academic year different
Going,
from last
yeah,
year? Let
yeah.
us know via social media handles. Mona Lisa Oni Nikita over there.
Only Nikile.
Nikile,
Okay.
over there.
She just gave it to you. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of entertainment and learning new things, someone is in the studio, Cape Town, stand all the way up because we have a hip hop artist named Kiddie, according to one of our floor managers. I'm joking. His name is Kiddie, and he just released an incredible, amazing EP titled Weirdo. I know you weird people out there, maybe you want to concentrate and focus on this one, and it has 7 songs. So if you want to know more about that, please do stay tuned for this interview. But without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Kiddo in the studio.
Yes. Lisa Kanya, I just want to find out when did you and how did you get to the stage name Kiddie? Because yeah.
It's a very long story, but it started back like I think it's about 11 years ago. So there used to be a soccer player of South Africa used to buy bees out Kahle Kompela.
Yeah.
So like now I used to play soccer back then, and I used to score like each and every single match. I used to always make sure by the scorer. So they used to call me Killer back then.
Yeah.
So I remember recording the first single. There was like so there was a time where I had to pick a stage name.
Yeah.
So then I said I'm Killer, and the producer was like, bruh, like there are too many killers out there. And back then, I think I was the youngest killer, so like, okay, cool, let's say you Kiddie Killer, but I was like, nah, man, that's too long. That Kiddie K, then like, the K is cool, but then as time went by, and then people like, why you gonna be like K? Then they say Kiddie. So
What happens when you are 45 years old because you're no longer
It
Kiddie?
was about growny. It was about oldie.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man.
Okay, something that you do know though is your EP that just came out. Congratulations. How was that process? Because I know you released it in a very tough year. I mean, during the pandemic, you were out here writing, releasing EPs.
Well, I don't want to lie, like it was a very tough time. But then there's a code that if you want to make something happen, you have to believe in yourself. Then that's what happened, because I remember I was doing grade 12 last year. So by the time it was lockdown, so I had like you have to bus phone during lockdown. But then I was like, sometimes I'm like, I'm bored. I want to do something else. So that when I started playing home, I started writing songs, then going to the studio, like recording the whole EP. But then I wasn't sure about like when I'm gonna release it until someone gave me idea that I should release it on my birthday, which is on the 30th of August, and that's what I did.
Yeah,
And you were 18 back then, right?
Yeah,
And you're still
yeah.
18 today.
Yeah.
Did you find out how difficult was it? Because not only is I can't imagine putting together an EP as an easy job, because you must work hard at it so that we are all impressed. The schoolwork and you're writing your exams. How difficult was it combining those two?
Yeah.
Well, I would say it was difficult for me.
Okay.
On the academic side, it was because I had to buy like what's the grade 12 and then subject business, and we're like they wanted the full focus. But then like on weekends, that's when I was like, nah, I have to buy like sacrifice, because like music is something that I'm sure but because like if I can lose what I want to do in my life, career, school, or the pendulum, but deep down, like I know that music is something that I want to do.
Yeah.
So what I had to is that I had to like sacrifice for this music, But man. Otherwise, other than that, it was. I wouldn't say it was hard.
And then now walk me through your music. First of all, you have titles like Weirdo, like shouldn't have done that. Like why? How did you come up with
We
that?
should know it did.
Yeah, like how do you come up with things like that?
Well, first of all, like I always like to think out of the box. Like the concepts I want to always make sure that it's not something that I've heard before. So said, especially the song was said, back then I lost a friend, so we was going through the whole process. So I was writing this song, and yeah, it was titled "Sad," but then I didn't like want to mention the name of my friend. You know. So wish I never did like all those names, man. What can I say? Let's just say you're just thinking out of the box.
Yeah.
That's what makes me Bandi Palace like
Yeah,
the titles.
and I wish I never did you performing it later with
Yeah.
Lil Tweezy, right?
Lil Tweezy.
What's that song about?
Wish I never did. Basically, like the whole song is about regrets. Like in life, you have this, that you wish you wish you never done. So like sometimes like I just wish that like I never had this whole rap thing going, because sometimes, especially when you can like come up with a good song, then you stress out. You're gonna be like, damn, I just wish I never done this before. Because I have to make sure that I deliver. Because if I don't, like, extra 20, they're gonna be like, nah, just do this whack and all of that. So wish I never did, just about Ilan was a regresso now, so that's all I can say.
Speaking
about
of
the song.
regrets, one regret you're gonna have is changing over to another channel and you miss this performance. So don't wish you never did tomorrow. Let's go to a net break. When we return, there's more Ekse. Keep it up right here.